Oh my goodness. So, I was just telling Jasmine that Facebook said that we're not aunties yet according to our age, but technology always makes me feel that way. If it's anything past answer the phone and hang up the phone, I struggle. So, struggling with this life. But we are going live today to discuss the show How to Die Alone. The title alone was a bit much. The show was a bit much for me. As we will discuss, the first episode was a lot, but we're going to discuss the entire show, How to Die Alone. We're going to go through some ideas of anxiety, some struggles. So y'all, if y'all have not watched it, it is a show on Hulu called How to Die Alone with a African American female who is getting to like pretty much almost like a midlife crisis. She's like, life is going a certain way. I'm starting to have struggles, and I think that I want to start making changes in my life. Like Jasmine, like what would you say was like the synopsis of the
I mean, the
or like the
synopsis,
or like the theme of the show?
the theme of the show. Can I say mental health? I don't think that's what they wanted the theme of the show to be,
I
but
feel
to
like that,
me,
yeah,
that's what we're doing.
because I feel like that. I forgot her name, the actress. She said, because I saw a post that was like that the show is not being renewed for season two.
Oh, it's not.
I know, and I really want to know like what happened at the end. But she said that it was not being renewed for season two, and she was like that she fought hard for the show and that she believed and those themed shows need to be discussed. And I agree with that. That like the idea of Black women, our mental health, and then I mean just like the idea of like anxiety and like what happens to us as general at certain points of life, or how we I would say how we have behaviors that we have learned out of like protective behaviors and we continue to do them repeatedly and repeatedly. And then we get to a place where we're like in a hole and we're like, how did I get here?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like self protecting for so long. And then it's like, I'm now in my own little prison. And how did I get here? And how do I get out? And I think that that's kind of like what happened in that show, or at least like to me.
I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of things. The whole season, a lot of things happened. So, okay, are we done diving? I mean, you ended it. At first, you didn't really like it.
I
What
did
would you
not.
say by the end? Did you like it, or you still didn't really?
I think so. There was a comment in the post that I saw about it not getting a second season, and someone said that like there were some episodes that probably didn't even need to be episodes. And I think I did agree with that. That um some I did get into it at a certain point. I was like, okay, I can get into it. I was following down. There were some episodes that I was just like, what is happening in this whole episode? Like, why are we dragging this whole thing out? Like, what is going on? And it's like randomly throwing a random episode, and it's just like I'm not quite sure what's happening. So yeah, that was that was like my take on it.
Okay, I was locked in. I was into it, but I also I like comedy, but I like dark humor too. So I'm into that. I think that's like not your vibe, not the dark humor, like just light and fun.
Yeah, light and fuzzy is me. So yeah, when I watched the very first episode, I definitely called Jasmine and I was like, I was like, I don't want to watch this because the first episode was heavy to me. Like y'all, spoiler alert if you have not watched it from the very first episode. Like the very first episode was like kind of like dark. I mean, like it was like funny because like it was like I'm funny at work, but like she goes home alone. Wasn't her birthday. She goes home alone on her birthday. She's in there eating like Chinese food. What was it? Was it a rat?
Yeah, there was some kind of animal. She's putting together it was supposed to be IKEA.
She spent money she did not have to go to IKEA and buy a bookshelf.
It wasn't IKEA, but it was whatever.
Yeah.
IKEA to build a bookshelf. Something ran across the room. It caused the whatever thing to fall on her, and basically she was knocked out. She was unconscious,
and she was in the house by herself.
And she was alone on her birthday.
Yeah.
And then from that point, like people had to come find her. We don't know. I don't remember how long it took for her neighbor to come find her, bring her to the hospital.
Yeah, the neighbor said that she was on live and she heard like a big boom and she
no, she wasn't on live. They were having sex. So she went in the apartment. She went live because she didn't want any of them to steal their stuff.
Oh, yes, you're sure right. So shout out to neighbors like that. I love that.
The neighbor, Tamika, and definitely I felt Tamika vibes. I'd be like, that would have to be me. So anyway, they go to the hospital, and she kind of is like confronted with a version of herself later in life. Like there's another woman that she shares a room with
Mm-hmm.
in the hospital. That woman is, I don't know if she was dying. I mean, she did die, but I don't know. The diagnoses were confused, but that's just me and my brain. And so anyway, she's talking to this lady, and the lady's like, "You gotta live your life.
Yeah.
You gotta stop playing. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
life is meant to be lived." And so she's like, I don't know if she almost died, but she felt it was scary enough that she felt like she almost died.
Yeah. And then
And
she was
then
also faced with the fact that the woman next to her did die.
and then while she was there, the woman did die, and that was very upsetting. Like
Yeah, it was
that
like
was
traumatizing.
it was a lot. Usually it's just like, oh, where's so and so? She's not here anymore. No, literally, she was in the room looking at the woman, and the woman died in front of her.
Yeah. It almost reminded me, and I don't know, like if you guys have to like comment. Do you remember the episode of the game? Did you watch the game enough to know episodes? Okay.
No, the game had 500 episodes. My
No.
God.
Okay, the beginning seasons were like the ones that should have watched. Now I don't know like what happened after they left and like went to different networks, but at the beginning that was my show.
I tried to hang on. But...
And there was an episode where girl Melanie, where she was working in the hospital and she was working on a lady in the hospital, and the lady was like pretty much like doing the same thing, like, honey, you need to live, like you're not living, like whatever. And she called her a side part under girl. She was like, you're so scared to live your life that you won't even change your hair up. You've been wearing it the same way with that same side part forever. And to me, it gave me like that same vibes that I hear you meet an older lady in the hospital who she's like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. And it's always an older black lady.
It is.
It's always an older black lady who's going to tell you about yourself and look you up and down and be like,
with zero regards.
None.
Zero regards to your feelings,
None.
how it's going to be said,
how you going to receive it. None.
I said what I said, and we're going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that...
Yeah. I'm going to say, then we go to like this existential crisis of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Almost died, blah, blah, blah. And then from there, she starts to act differently because before that, she never lived life. We're basically going to say. I can tell you all the things she didn't do, but that's a long list.
Yeah, but there's the hard part about this is that I think that what a lot of people... like even myself, I go through a lot of times, and I think that we see this a lot, like online and everything. When people tell people to live their life differently, you should just live, and then it's like, okay, well, I want to live differently, and it's like, what does that look like? And I think that that was her. She was pumped up. She was like, yes, I want to start living. Today's going to be different. And then it was like, what does that actually look like? And it was like, oh, so like actually like putting into practice what you say. So like, what happens when I leave that day and say I'm fired up, and then someone comes to ask me something like, okay, wait, how do I respond differently? Like, what's the boundary? Hold on, spell vulnerability. I don't really know like what to do in this moment. So we see that. We see Mel who wants to be different. She continues to say, "I'm different now. I'm different.
I'm different.
Yes, I've had this epiphany. I am different.
I have a new wig.
That is well too. I look the part.
Black girls, you hear rough, okay? You may have a new wig, you may cut that hair off, but baby, what did you do internally that was different?
Because it's that part. I dyed my hair, like I fixed the hair. I put on
clothes.
Yes, I put on new clothes. I look the part. But when someone actually asks you to show up, and you're like, what do I do
now?
What does this mean? So we
and
see
it's impulsive. That was one of her biggest problems, is impulsivity. She did not take the time to just sit down and sit with herself, because after that hard thing happened, what she should have did is been like, all right, let me talk to myself, let me get myself together, let me see what I don't like in my life, and let me see how I can change it and go forward. But what ended up happening is she started being impulsive and grabbing for anything in front of her. So they switched her stuff with the lady who died's stuff. So she gets home and she's like, I don't even have my stuff. So she goes to the home of the lady who dies, and then basically she just starts scamming. She starts taking the woman's stuff, using her money to fund a lifestyle that she could not afford. But I don't even think I feel like in her way, she thought it was honoring the lady, which I get, but it was still very impulsive. You're not thinking this through, friend. You don't even know what you want. You're just trying to be what she told you think you need to be.
Yes, which is the hard part. That I feel like for a lot of us, we see where we are and we see end goal. So it's like literally putting something in the GPS and being like, take me here.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't realize that the GPS has you driving through all these different places. Oh, what happens when I get to a place and there's a roadblock?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, there's a whole parade in the middle of the street and I can't go down the street. Now I gotta turn sideways.
But even more, how we gonna get there? I ain't even got a car. I ain't even got the money to pay for gas.
I got no gas money. So all of those things, I think they're like, she just saw the end result, which I believe that a lot of us do.
Yes.
We see the end result. We see the person who looks like this. We're like, this is what I want. How do I get there?
Let me get the outsides to reflect what their outsides reflect. But you don't know what they did on the inside. You don't know what the journey was to even get there. None of that.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're just grasping at straws, making things look nice on the outside, but you're not doing the internal work.
Yes.
And I feel like that was, I'm gonna call her Natasha, that's the actor's name, but that was Mel's biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
She did not want to do the internal work.
Yes.
She was scared. She didn't do the stuff she wanted to do because she was scared, but then all that stuff happened and she wanted to change, and she still didn't look inside.
Yes. So I think that, and also one of the hard parts about that is being able to do it consistently, because you would also see her throughout the show. She would do it like one time and be like, "Oh, your girl did it," and the next day it was like, you're gonna get tested again.
She couldn't sustain it.
You're gonna get tested again. You're gonna test it again. It's like,
and then she starts to go into old patterns because she never changed the old pattern. She never figured out why that was even a pattern. She was just like, we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna try. I was scared to sign up for the program, the whatever program that was gonna get her more money and like allow her to do more of what she wanted to do. So she goes into it, she gets there, and then the same old junk keeps showing up.
Yeah.
Right? Like she's connected with a guy there that she like not even really that interested in, missing the signs that clearly he is married and not wants a fling, even though she wants a relationship. Gets in there and just like junks it up.
But we also see like even before then, so we see in the show that she has a best friend.
Somebody coming to them.
Yeah. She sees that she has a best friend who tells her.
Which best friend?
Rory. Like
the guy.
The only friend she had at the beginning of the show. She only had one friend at the beginning.
We gonna have to talk about Rory.
So her best friend asked her to not do the program that she wanted to do. Which, don't get me wrong, that was terrible of him to do that. But instead of her, once again, this is like, when your stuff is being thrown in your face, instead of her communicating to him, I still want to do this, like these are my goals for myself, she went back into old behaviors and she didn't show up. So she lied to him. She tried to hide, and then when he found out, she was like, "Oh yeah, I did the program." So once again, we're hopping over steps to get where we are. Like,
we're not doing anything with intention.
Yes,
and even more so, she didn't just tell him. It was a huge blow up fight where she screamed it at him instead of being like, "Listen, I know this is what you asked me. I know this is even what I said I was going to do, but this is why that's changed." No, none of that.
Yeah, and I think that like that is the hard part of like we said earlier, when you get yourself down into these holes of doing stuff, and then you realize that because like we saw it when they did have their blow up. So you guys, if you see the show, like she has a best friend, his name is Rory. They get to a point to where they have a blow up fight where he's trying to choose himself and be in a relationship, which is uncomfortable for him. She's trying to choose herself and like figure out all these boundaries. And they get to a point where they blow up. They're not actually having a conversation. They're just yelling at each other. And they're making things each other's fault that they honestly and truthfully did. So he's yelling at her and he's like, you don't know how difficult it is for me to be your only friend. I'm only here for you, which is honestly something he did. You continue to show up for her like this and be like her only person in all these spaces, and then get mad at her for utilizing
the pattern that y'all are in.
Yes. And she and like for her, she does the same thing. She gets mad at him for behaviors that she did. So it's like, well, like, you don't know like what it feels like to be your friend. Well, these are roles that you guys signed up for, probably out of fear. Because I mean, let's be honest. If I only had one friend, what you gonna do to keep your one friend? Like, I'm gonna show up this way to keep the behavior, or like keep the relationship, and then get mad at you for not respecting the boundary that I never had.
Yeah, deviating from our pattern. Even though it doesn't feel good and we really don't like it that much, but it's the way we've always been. So we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
And it also shows they've never had a conversation about it. There was never a conversation of like, this is actually really hard. This is actually a burden when you do that to me. Nothing. None of that. They was just like, this is what friends do and going along, but nobody is being introspective. And
I think that, but I think that also we have
introspection.
to identify too, because the show does not go into complete detail, but you see that Rory had issues with his dad,
Mhm.
and you see that Mel had issues with her mom, and we potentially have a non-existent dad. I'm
Oh,
not
I was gonna
sure.
say with everybody. No, dad's dead.
Yes, okay, but I wasn't sure if that dad was brother's dad, because I can remember like
No, that's their dad. Yeah.
well, like she made fun of him for having daddy issues, like she didn't have
Correct.
daddy issues.
Correct.
But okay,
That's why it was messed up.
that's a thing too. Okay, but because yeah, that was a question that I had. But so like you can also see to me as an attachment therapist that a lot of this stuff came from
Attachment therapist.
Don't do me like that.
She's an attachment therapist just in case you didn't know.
I'm just saying, as someone who loves attachment and studies the roots of how this stuff probably came from their childhood. So both of you guys had behaviors that came from your childhood and then developed into your friendship of this is how I navigate love. This is how I navigate relationships. This is how I navigate fear. At some point, I just overdo or underdo.
It almost seemed like from both of them, they were both like, I have a person, let me just latch on. And that means, and that's for a lot of us, that's not even, uncommon. You latch onto a person, and because you want this type of relationship, you don't hold it to any standard.
Yeah.
It can happen however it needs to happen. You can do whatever you need to do as long as you're here for me, because what I need is a person close to me.
Yeah.
Instead of being able to show up in that relationship, be like, I need this. Or actually, that doesn't work for me. Or like, ooh, I didn't like when you did this. This is actually how I'm in relationship well. Like they were just holding on to each other.
Yeah. And then we also see something that I feel like that a lot of us, and I get it, instead of once
What do you
again,
mean us? The Negroes?
No.
The women?
People.
Okay. I didn't know which us.
Human people. Cannot deal with you. Human people that a lot of times, instead of being introspective, like you said earlier, the identification then becomes, what do I do to get over this situation? She did not address her issue with Rory. She just went and found new friends. I'm like, do we not do that sometimes? Like, yes. I don't want to deal with the fact of why this relationship didn't happen. I just like need to find me a new man. Mm-hmm. Like that's just it. Like, or this friend didn't work out. I'm gonna go find me a new friend.
Correct.
Like
something's wrong with them.
Yes,
and that's it.
Yes,
like Rory just couldn't be a good friend to me. She's not a good friend. But like they could have been good friends to each other. They really just needed to talk.
Yes, which goes back into something else about the ability for accountability for yourself, and also to have people around you who hold you accountable too. So let's just say, Jasmine, if you come to me and you tell me that you've been friends with somebody for I don't know how many plus years, that you and this person have like dang near been connected by the hip, and then you come to my house one day crying and you're like, they were a terrible friend, I'm gonna have questions. Not saying I'm not gonna support you in the moment, because yeah, like whatever they did in that moment could have been crappy. But
they talked to my enemy.
But I'm still gonna hold you accountable. Like, so y'all was friends for 10 plus years, and this person was just crappy that whole 10 years. So did you ever communicate this stuff to them? Like, did you talk to this about them, and they just didn't do anything? There has to be a level of accountability for you, and then for folks around you to be like, so what you doing? Or what were you doing? Yeah. I am really quick to ask all of my clients. I will go in with my clients when they come in and tell me that somebody's bothering them or somebody hurt them. I'm like, yeah, them too. And then after we calm down, I'm like, so what did you do? How did you respond? What part did you play in this?
How long has this been happening? Because that's a big one too. Like I'm talking about relationship, any kind of relationship struggles, I'd be like, so how long has this been happening? How long have you not been saying something about it? Or have you been handling it like this?
Yeah.
Because that's also a big part too of just like, do you know how to navigate this? Or is being mad the only thing you know how to do in this relationship?
Or is running the only thing that you know how to do?
Or running, yeah. Sometimes it's not running. Some people, they turtle up, which I think is kind of Mel's thing too. She, in some relationships, she did turtle. She won't let it go, but she will withdraw. You're not going to hear from her. She's not going to say anything. And then maybe she'll come back around when she's ready. And I know we have people in our lives that are just kind of turtly.
But I think that the hard thing, and I know we talked about this before in other videos, is that people should be allowed to have space. You should be allowed to have space, but there's a difference in between turtling and coming back out and addressing the situation, or turtling and coming back out and being like, oh, so that's over. no, fam, you didn't speak to me for a week. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we need to talk.
Like we always talked about, there needs to be a resolution. So, right, turtling is like just disappearing. I'm out. I'm not talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even telling you that I'm not talking to you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And asking for space, or just having space, is saying like, this was hard for me, I need space, and then after that, let's come back and talk about it. Right.
Yeah.
There's communication there, there's an intention to go back and process it after the fact. It's not just like, I'm out, and then I come back, I'm like, hey girl, what you doing?
Did you like literally do like meme like the boy?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that also too is the hard part of when you, because I've also met people like this too, when you find your match
Mm-hmm.
and I turtle, you turtle, and then both of us pop back out like
Mm-hmm.
nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
And then both of us are gonna pretend like it never happened.
Mm-hmm. I can always tell when they're friends like that. And I'll be like, did you ever talk about it? We never talk about it. Like, it is always happens this way. And I'm like, ooh, so when you gonna get tired of that?
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's gonna continue to repeat itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, 10 years later, y'all screaming at each other in a Walmart parking lot, fighting about something that happened in 1997 because y'all never talked about the original thing. So
That
we're
feels
talking
really
about everything.
specific, and I'm just
So it didn't happen? It doesn't happen? Tell me if it happens. It happens to people anyway.
yeah.
So friendships, we see a lot of that with Mel. It's just a lot of dysfunction, and it's really just a reflection of her own stuff.
And it kind of reminded me of plug another video that we did when the Melanie Fiona. I got trouble with my friends. I got trouble in my life. I have problems when you don't come home at night. So we see that Mel not only had issues with her friendship with
Everybody.
Ward,
Mel had issues with
she had
everybody.
issues with her family. Girl got dressed up to the T to go show her tail at Thanksgiving. Like she came in with a plan to show her tail, and that was the change Mel. The change mail was speaking up and going off on everybody, cutting everybody down, saying things that were inappropriate. But here's the thing, though. They always act like that. And I feel like that for her idea was to combat by acting the same way that they act. Oh, y'all want to y'all talk stuff? I'm gonna talk stuff. And for her, that was like a positive change behavior, which in some ways could be, but it was also very, very, it was erratic, and it also did not change anything. All she did was go in there and blow up more, and you just caused more fires everywhere.
Correct. There's more, because I do want to talk about brother, but I can't go there right now because that's a different thing. Like, I just need to know the psychology of you catfishing your brother to prove stuff. Anyway, we all have complicated relationships with our siblings. But that's complicated.
We're there now. So like Mel and her family, that was what happened.
Was it Christmas, Thanksgiving?
I think it was Thanksgiving. Yeah, it was Thanksgiving. So Mel goes to visit her family for Thanksgiving. She
knew everything. Okay, we got a new outfit. We want to let them know.
But let them know what? She wanted to let them know that she had changed. She had a whole
But what happened is
dream girls,
got a wig and a new outfit. That's all she had.
Yes.
Nothing else changed.
She had a sassy attitude, Here's the thing though, people, which is once again, when you have not did the work, when you have a sassy attitude and you want to go out there and throw fires and be like, this is what's happening, you also have to be prepared and ready for the fire to be thrown back at you.
Accountable, yes.
And she was not. So she went in there thinking that she was, what was Tasha's name in Why Did I Get Married? She wanted to go in there and be like, boom, at family dinner.
Mm-hmm. And that was going to change everything, I think. In her mind, she was going to be like, yes, they're going to realize, they're going to see the light, they're going to treat me differently. And that's not what happened.
I think that the hard part is that they realized what was the truth, that she still didn't have it together. Mm-hmm. That she looked cute, but she still didn't have it together. So like Jasmine says, she is on a dating site once again, thinks that she's gonna do good, I'm gonna start dating, and she sees her brother on a dating site, and mind you that her brother is married with 2 children. So she's like, oh, I'm fixing to go in on him, da da da. She makes a fake page to catfish him.
Yes, but you can tell there's already some competition between them.
Yeah, because he's the good kid.
Yes, and so you can already tell
that mom favors.
Yes, for sure. But you can already tell when she saw that, she was like, oh, I have something on him now.
Yes.
Now he's not going to be the golden child. Now he's not going to hold the silver head. So I'm sure that's what motivated it, but it still was an interesting way to handle that.
Yes. So once again, she could have handled this differently. She could have dealt with her stuff. Mind you, that before she ever did this, She stole her brother's social security number to use as a co-buyer or a co-signer for her hospital debt. Now listen, she never told him. She said that he was never gonna find out because I don't know what people like don't run their credit nowadays. I don't know. Maybe that's just me because I have Credit Karma on lock. I
But
get
they
like their
found out
alerts every day.
they knew before she even came for Christmas. His wife was like, "So are we gonna bring up the fact that she stole your social
He didn't
security
want to
number?"
discuss
He
it.
was like, "No, not now. We need to have a good
Yeah.
holiday."
But him too. He was like, "No, I want to be distant. I don't want to deal with this." So
Which
he
also
wanted to
shows you that's how it works in their family. They
yes,
just don't talk
they
about
talk about it. So, but she goes in guns ablazing. I'm finna call out all your stuff because I've changed and you're the crappy brother. She starts taking all kind of shots at him. She even calls out this man for crying in Lion King and says that he has daddy issues, like in front of everybody.
But that was low.
It was
low. He was a child when his father died, so he was upset that his y'all's father, not just his, but
that's why
died.
that happened. And then she makes fun of him for it. So that's why I said this is not saying that you're changed and you're and like that you're being better. She was just being at this point she was just being mean. She was trying to prove something, but she was not proving what she was trying to prove.
And it wasn't going to allow anybody in that room to change. Everybody's just pissed off. There was no change that was going to happen.
But maybe in her mind, she was like, no, they'll start picking on her. So she continues to catfish her brother. She continues to send him text messages
during the holiday, literally during.
She literally says, "Can you get away and come meet me?" Brother takes the bait, leaves the entire family to say he's going to go meet one of his friends around the corner at a bar.
His cousin.
Yeah. She shows up and she's like, "Boom, you're cheating on your wife, and I'm the girl that you're coming to meet." And she's like, "Okay, I got it." He's like, "Boom, you stole my social security number."
And she like, "Oh, you know what that?"
and then mind you that she tries to floss in front of the whole family about how she's going to Hawaii, and he's like, "Who's paying for that?" And she's like, "Don't worry about who's paying for it." The whole time you also stole the credit card of the dead lady in the hospital, and she paid for the Hawaii trip. So you're flossing with something that you did not pay for. So in the moment, while she's being all big and bad, brother is like, "You stole my social security number and you're paying for a Hawaii trip with a dead woman's credit card. Tell me again how you've changed and how you have it all together." And then once again,
you're scamming.
The facade that I made is no longer in my face.
Which is fine. Like, I don't think it's bad to not have it all together. There's nothing wrong with that. I think the issue here is when you go and you pretend as if you do and you rub it in people's face and you want them to know you and see you for that, they're only getting to see the outside. It's superficial.
Yeah,
it's 100%. Not real.
Yeah.
And at that point, yes, they're going to call you out on it, right? Like,
they should.
You don't have to have it all together, but you also don't have to lie and tell people you do.
Yeah. I think that that's a my pastor quoted a Cat Williams a Cat Williams joke the other day. Yeah, about the idea of it's one thing to pretend to be something until the real thing shows up. It's like the Chrysler 300 looks like a Bentley until a Bentley shows up. So you can stand here all day and but I got this together and I do this and I do this until somebody who actually has it pops up in front of you, and then you're just like, well, here we are. Let me go.
Yeah. But I think there's a difference, right? Like, it's one thing of believing it's as if something's going to happen and working towards that goal.
Yes.
But she was not working towards that goal. She said, "I want the outsides. I don't care about that other stuff or what it takes to get there. I just want y'all to believe that that's who I am." Instead of working to being who she was.
Which is wanted to be. Like you said, there's nothing wrong with changing and becoming that person. It just takes work. And I think like that's the hard part. Like we said, that a lot of times we don't always want to do the work. We just want to skip.
Oh, but that's me.
I know, I get it.
That's me.
Me too. Me. I see the picture and I'm like, that's the life that I want. Social media.
How do I get it tomorrow?
Yeah, social media would have you messed up. Like, give me that.
Hurting.
Put that in the cart and hit. Okay, Amazon delivery 2 days. Like, but that's not. And then we're stuck.
Just a shiny little plaque on the outside. It doesn't change the foundation of the house. All right. Okay. Let's talk self-sabotage. I feel like... Why'd you do it? Because I feel like that was really part of her stuff. She really, in some ways, she wanted to do well. but you could also tell in some ways she didn't think that she deserved well.
Mm.
And those things conflicted. Like she would get in a situation, she would, oh no, this is too much. I don't deserve to be here. This is not who I am. I'm worried. And then that would mess it up.
Yeah. I also feel like if she wasn't always aware that she was self-sabotaging,
I don't think she was aware at all.
I think that it went to it went into like, that same thing of like, I want this thing, I'm gonna try for this thing, and then when something shows up I need to do, it's like, oh no, I don't deserve that. Now I'm gonna back up instead of just like do the work and go through it. Like you can have it, but she would just tell herself I didn't deserve it because I don't want to do the work.
Point blank. Period. Her ex is a big part of the story, and I just have a lot of feelings. So I guess he was her boss, though. We probably need to think about that some more. But anyway, her ex that she dated, it was amazing. She had a great time. Like this man could have been the love of her life. He was crazy about her, but once he said "I love you,"
She freaked out.
she shut down. She not even just shut down. She said some really hateful stuff to push him away so that he would honestly not look in her direction. She said, "What did you think this was? This is funny games. This is casual. We ain't. This ain't even for real. You're stupid for even thinking that." And then gets on the phone. It's like, why? I'm gonna mess it up. There's no reason in like putting more energy in this relationship because I'm going to mess it up.
But I feel like that from like what she said on the phone regarding that she felt like that she was playing a role in the relationship, which it seems like that she clearly wasn't the way that she believed that she was, but that she felt like that
But
she was. Like we talk about like individuals sometimes who will get up in the middle of the night and fix their hair so that the boyfriend never sees them with their hair unfixed, or who will like brush their teeth before he wakes up so that you never have morning breath. Like,
makeup.
Yeah, I refuse to use the bathroom while he's there because it's like I never want him to know these things. So for her, she was like that. She was doing similar things to make sure that he never saw what she believed to be the real her, and then was disgusted. So she was like, "There's no way that he wants to be with me because that means I gotta do this all the time."
But that also means she thought whatever he was looking at was going to be disgusting.
Yes.
Right? She also thought that herself.
Yes.
Even though he continued to say the opposite. Yeah. I like this. I like you. I'm interested in you. I like what I see when I see you.
Yeah, and I talk to people like that all the time who are just like, something has to be wrong with him because how does he like me? I don't even like me.
Absolutely. And then we get to self-sabotage because what did homegirl say who was talking to Cam, and when she was talking about like manifesting in the universe coming to you, like I don't have to believe in all that to know what you project is what really is, whether you think it is or not. Right? So if you really get a blessing or you get something really good and you don't believe that you can sustain it, you don't believe that you can grow it, you don't believe that you deserve it, all of your actions or behaviors are going to reflect that, whether you want to or not, whether you pretend or not. And I feel like that is what happens. She really felt that way about herself. Therefore, everything in her life reflected that back to her.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Which is really hard.
Yeah. So that goes into the fact that she had low self-esteem. I think that like the hard part is that like low self-esteem does not always look the way that we think that it should look. I mean, for Mel in this particular show, I think that it did look in more ways of like you said, her going inward, like, you know, dressed in a certain way or like not changing her hair up, certain things, like it did look like that. But sometimes low self-esteem can look like the person who's doing a whole bunch of different hairstyles or like popping out and doing all these things. Like self-esteem can look differently. Or like self-esteem look different.
It doesn't always look like somebody being self-deprecating, which she was, or even like down on themselves. She was really open about it. She was like, "This is who I am. Like, ain't nobody gonna give me a chance." Like, she used words to put to that feeling, but that doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, when she was working, she really turned on. You wouldn't have known that she had low self-esteem if you only saw her at work.
Yeah.
When she was driving that thing, she was like, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" She was bubbly. She was talkative. She like could exude authority. But when it comes to her personal life,
struggling on the inside.
Yes. And that is often how it happens, right? We have these like facades that help us get what we need in some ways, but if you look at the back of it, it's dirty and crusty, and we don't really even like it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think that that is the hard part too, because I'm sure that we've seen people who like we would look at it like they're absolutely gorgeous, so like they have all these things, and they're like on the inside they're like
They don't believe that about themselves.
yeah, this ain't it, fam.
And even for her, she had one best friend, but she was friends with everybody. Everybody knew her. She had a good relationship with everybody at work.
I think that
people
also
loved her.
The hard part too is that, like you said, she didn't see it fully.
She didn't feel it
because it was also somebody at the job who was also in love with her too, and she didn't even recognize it.
Yeah,
this man was going out of his way to do so much for her, and she didn't recognize it. Which also, to me, he had low self-esteem too. People didn't like. I don't think that they fully discuss it. But there was another guy, Jackson, who liked her. Like he went above and beyond for her to do things for her, like stuff that. Listen, you do that, and we gonna have to like be together. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, but at the time, he had another partner.
But he was, but he also admitted that he was only with that girl because he was spending time with him. So like, what kind of like low self-esteem was that? He didn't really want to be with her. He didn't understand for life of me why this girl invited him to his house for Thanksgiving. He was like, "Oh, we doing that?" I thought that it was casual, and like everybody was like, "Y'all been talking for like months. Y'all been hanging out exclusively for months." And he was like, "Oh,
yeah, but I'm just here."
Yeah,
and also I don't. It just sounds like he didn't even really. He knew who he really liked.
Yeah, but he was also too scared to go after her because he didn't think that she would like him. So it's like
maybe. I don't even think it's. I wonder. I don't know if it's not even. He didn't think she would like him. I think he saw her. She does not want things that are good for her.
But no, she wanted somebody else.
Yeah, but he also saw how that happened. That man was crazy about her. He was ready to marry her as soon as possible, and she was like, "Nope, can't do it."
Yeah.
So what was she gonna do with him?
I think that sometimes too it's the fear of rejection. So why even do it?
But so it's not that she wasn't gonna like him back. It wasn't gonna work out.
Stop him from showing up for her either.
But that's how it go, don't
it?
Woo!
Just saying. Just saying. All right, so y'all, let's talk about tips. How to die alone, like for real. Like we talk about the title of the show, but like what that looks like, and it's like a synopsis of like all the things we talked about. Like what are some of those things? Like we would say that how to die alone would be keeping your feelings inside.
Keep your feelings inside. Make sure nobody knows how you're feeling about them at any given time.
Yeah.
When they offend you, when they upset you, when they do something you like, don't tell them.
Yeah. When they ask you directly, did I do anything that bothered you?
Lie and make sure they feel good after the conversation.
No, nothing at all. Like we're fine. We're good.
Check. Do that.
Yes.
My tip for you, if you want to die alone, is wait until the last minute to tell people how you feel. If you do end up telling them, wait until the very last moment. So when her ex was about to get married, this was another form of self-sabotage. You can't tell me no different. But it was about to get married. He missed his flight to the thing, which he missed on purpose, which whatever. That's another thing. I got opinions, but we're going to try to stay focused. And so when he did that, she was talking to her friend. She said, "Hey, I'm actually in love with him. I need to tell him, but I'm going to go to the wedding and tell him there." They said, "Tell him now. Why would you wait? Why would you wait until the very last second to tell this man how you feel? Go and tell him now." So she went and told him now, but even then was the last second because she had several other times where she could have been like, "My bad. I fumbled the ball with you. I really love you." But she waited.
Yeah.
So that he he couldn't do anything but say no.
Yeah.
Even if he wanted to say yes. Exactly.
You should self-sabotage yourself. Let's add that to the list. How about you should self-sabotage? Let's do that one. How about let your fear make your decisions for you? That's one that I get and I resonate with. Like how to die alone. Let's let your fears make decisions for you. So whenever those fears come up, let those guide you.
And
let the fears guide you. And they normally lead back to some of those same negative behaviors that tell you to isolate, or tell you that you don't need friends, or tell you to not apply for the job, or tell you that like they're gonna get rejected. So don't do it. Let the fear guide you.
It's usually those YOLO moments too. Just like, okay, let me do it. I don't even need to think about it. Yeah. And then here we are. Let's see. Depend on one person, just one person for all your needs. Put
Yes.
all that you have into this one person in your life
Yes.
and give them
That's my
everything,
person.
and then whoo, struggle with the if they're able to hold all your stuff or
Yes.
even give it back to
Yes. Be selfish enough to put all of your stuff into their basket with their stuff and then tell them to carry all this. And if you can't,
you.
it's your fault because you're supposed to carry all my stuff.
Yeah.
That's what you should do.
Personally attacked. One other thing is only talk to people when you need them.
Mhm.
Only reach out to people when you need them,
Mhm.
which was one of Mel's biggest issues. The only time she'd pick up and talk to her brother, be like, "Hey, I need something. My life is messed up again. I need this from you." Or even Rory, to be like, "I really need this from you," and that's the only time. There was no reciprocation. There was no even like, "What do you need? How do I help you?" It was just like, "I need something. Come here.
Yeah.
Here, let me take. Let me take. Let me take."
Don't let anyone see your authentic self. Keep that person just hidden and just make sure that you feel like that no one's ever gonna like that person. So just don't show it to anybody. Like don't show anybody who you are as a person.
Yeah, but what if you don't like that person? You don't want to show anybody.
Yeah. So that's the great thing. Just continue to not like them. Continue to not like your authentic self, and then don't show them to anybody. Keep them in the closet.
So you're saying we could change?
Just maybe. Just maybe. I'm saying that there's a chance.
Another tip for you is to use other people as your measuring stick, right? If you compare yourself to other people, it's like, well, if they're doing it, if I'm not doing it, then that's how I know if I'm doing the right thing or not. And so it's a guaranteed way that you're going to mess up some stuff in your life. If you're only looking around, that also means you're not looking at yourself.
Yes.
Hear me when I say this. You need to look at yourself. You cannot just look at other people.
Especially social media. Because that's how I compare myself. How come I don't do what they do? Never ask for help.
Black women, we talking to you, and I love you, so that's what I'm gonna tell you. We talking to you. I'm talking to me. I'm talking to everybody. Don't ask for help.
Me and you, your mama and your cousins, and two.
Literally, all of them. Everybody in your bloodline, most likely.
That's how we die.
Okay. Was that how you wanted to communicate that?
No. Put everyone's needs before your own. Yeah, that's that. Don't just like take care of everybody else, not you. Make sure that everyone else is okay. Tell yourself that lie that we hear so often. If I don't do it, anyone else gonna do it. It's only me.
How else is it supposed to get done?
Yeah.
I'm the only one doing something around here. If I don't do it, it ain't gonna
so
get done.
So it has to be me. Keep telling yourself that.
Whisper, whisper. Sometimes things can just fall. Sometimes things don't have to get done. Sometimes things you can drop a ball, and it's actually better sometimes.
Sometimes you're not in control of everything.
And that's good news. That's not bad news.
There's beauty in knowing that some of those bags that you're carrying are actually not yours to carry and that you could put them down. Just saying.
It's a twerk for you. Put a twerk in your spirit. For people with a low self-esteem, this is for you as well. Let one bad experience dictate what you're going to do or what you're not going to do for the rest of your life.
Listen, because I get this one.
No, this is me, for sure.
I will be like, if this type of person hurt me, so like anytime somebody does anything in that realm, I'm like, back up. That's what it means.
So what that means? If you date a Leo and the Leo did you wrong one time,
baby, when I say you
don't be doing that, no more.
Don't do it ever date you no Aquarius man because.
But you had one bad experience,
and that probably wasn't even the fact that it was his zodiac sign. That man was just
raggedy. Some people just raggedy. Okay, some people are just not for you. How about I say that? Not everybody raggedy. Some people just aren't your people. Or like you tried something new and it didn't go your way, and you said, "I ain't never gonna do that again. I ain't never gonna put myself out there again."
Yeah.
My God, it was just one time. You gotta try again.
Or maybe also evaluate some of the other factors that could have caused it to go wrong. Because it may not have just been that experience. It may have been the people that you were with, or like the timing, their environment, like.
Yep.
Don't take time to actually go within yourself and get perspective. Don't actually sit down. Don't like to actually like self-evaluate yourself and
Journal.
yeah, or like figure out like where could I have been accountable, like what could I have did wrong, like don't do that. Just continue to go. Go, go, go. Go.
It's just a guaranteed way to go on there and make sure that you do dialogue. And we don't want that for you.
No.
Actually, we want you to use this show as a guide for your life. What not to do. Hey, listen, because again, I feel like this show reflects all of us in some
all
way.
of us.
Somebody can relate to some part of this. You're not living your best life. You're not taking up space. You're scared. You have fear. You got low self-esteem. You're an anxious person. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I want you to just take this. Okay.
It's like take like one or two tips.
And just use it to just challenge you and move forward. If you don't already, build in a system to be introspective. Or better yet, allow your friends to tell you something about yourself.
And be open. Okay, we talked about this before on other shows. Allow safe friends to tell you about yourself.
Not just anybody and everybody off the street.
Because everybody ain't safe. Or will project some negativity off on you. But
also if somebody is up close to you like this, I hope they're safe. Right? If you are close with somebody and that person not a safe person, perhaps they don't need to be
that close.
Your person.
Okay. That as well.
And we can talk more about that. If you have questions about that, let us know because we can talk more about it.
But for now, we have questions that need answers. So if you guys watch any of our other shows, which I hope that you guys do, subscribe and like and watch our other shows. But at the end, we always have questions that need answers for things that happen throughout the movie, throughout the song, show, whatever. That we're like, what? Sometimes they're like rhetorical questions that need answers, or sometimes it's like legit. Does anybody have an answer for this? Like what happened?
We're accepting all answers.
Yes,
at all times.
So go ahead, Jasmine. What's your first question that needs answers?
I don't. My question is, when she got her stuff from the hospital, did she ever? She also had this lady's dog. How you just gonna take somebody's dog? Anyway, did she ever get her own stuff back? Yes, the dog was the lady's dog.
Oh, girl, that's terrible.
Well, I mean, I guess the dog was gonna be there by herself, starving, but
yeah,
ain't no family.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we need to check. Okay.
Did she ever get her own stuff back? She got that lady's stuff. What was her stuff?
Good question.
Okay.
Question that needs answers. Y'all, and I know that shows do this, but I think that sometimes I just be like, when I be like watching the show, we went from Thanksgiving to New Year's Eve real fast. Like,
yeah, well, there wasn't a Christmas, was there?
No, there wasn't even like any time. Like, we just literally went from like Thanksgiving to New Year's Eve. Like, what happened?
Time just goes. No, you asked about that. They had some funny lines in there. I thought it was really funny. Martin Lotion King was funny and Talcum X, and I just wanted to say it was great.
I love that. Someone should do that. Question need answered. Did anybody else pick up? And I forgot what her name is. I should have Googled it. Hazel from Degrassi. You remember Hazel from Degrassi? I forgot what her name is, but she was the lady on like the last episode who gave her stuff, and
she was a flight attendant. Yeah,
I was like, shout out to
Hazel. Absolutely. Question, and maybe I don't have experience in this area, but who goes on a first date at work, and on that first date also has sex at work?
I mean, I could see it happening. I think that the problem is that it happened in the lost and found area back there around all that food. And the man made
nobody eating the food. The food's going to church.
He made the first date food out the food from out the
Well, those are the other people eating the food. But literally their first day was like, let's go back here and have a date. Why?
I think that also the red flag that we said that was missing was that the man pulled out the food from the lost and found. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying like not to waste it, but I'm just meeting you, fam.
I don't think that was like what we doing. She already had took a ham. She wanted the food.
She did take the ham.
That's fine.
Well, we saw how she. Okay. How did we go from dog sitting to identity theft? I just don't understand.
That was my question. There was a big jump. How do we go from puppy napping to we are literally committing fraud, Social Security fraud?
Yeah.
At that. So the brother, and we're not going to go deep into this, but I'm concerned that not only that he was cheating on his wife, but he was cheating on his wife who was not black. I think she's brown in some way, but with other black women. Was she not? Was she only Caucasian? I thought she had something else going on.
She was just
okay. All right. but he exclusively cheated on her with black women because he said he wanted to talk to them about just the black experience and being black. So why did you marry one? Why was that your choice? If that's how you feel, I'm not saying you can't.
Like that maybe he did like some self-sabotaging behaviors that he had consequences with. Something else, when you see that you have old behaviors that you struggle with, and then those behaviors get called into question. So her ex-boyfriend's new fiance comes to the airport, and she ends up driving around the new fiance, and at no point can she assert like boundaries or what I don't want to do. She just is like, okay, and then gets stuck. She actually like goes like a really awkward moment to this, but like, and then you're stuck with your,
not just stuck, trapped in a room with your ex-fiance's ex-boyfriend. They were not engaged. Ex-boyfriend's fiance on the weekend of her bachelorette.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And even then, we could see stuff was going on because she was like, "Are you sure you don't like him? Are you sure you're over him?"
Yeah.
Okay. So I did say that I'm Tamika. I did feel that because Tamika was just very, very feisty, and she popped off. Did she take it too far in the fight with Rory
100%.
and her brother?
Yeah,
both.
Yeah, both. But I think that was definitely the like, I'm gonna hurt you before you hurt me.
I hate that. No shade. Natasha is gorgeous, but were we supposed to believe that she was 35? Because I was having a hard time believing that she was 35.
I didn't even pick up on that.
She was literally. They said her brother was like, "You're 35," and I was like, "I'm not even saying she looks old. She just doesn't look 35."
I think it was the wig though. That first wig was, I don't know who picked that out, but that was, let it go.
I ain't gonna put no dirt on no black woman name. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, me either. Like, I'm like, they did what they did, and it worked for what it worked for. I think, but I do think that the hair maybe like made her face look a little different. Because like we've seen her in other things, and she didn't. She doesn't look like that.
She's fine. That's not. Yeah. It's okay. You don't have to be 35. That's all right.
Nope.
You can still be figuring out your life at 45. You can still be figuring out your life at 60.
Fine at any age because we see it at all times.
Interesting. Yeah. And I would just say, this is how I know Black people were involved in making this show, and I really appreciate that because you can always tell when Black people have hands.
Oh, 100%. And I love it. I love all of it.
Always tell. Just like I really liked, even though it was really dysfunctional, the meeting with her and the brother when they were like, you know how Black people do. One minute we're fighting, the other time we're like laughing and reminiscing about something, and then we get like serious. Like we come in and out of it really quickly, and I was like, oh yeah. Somebody who wrote this knows. They get it.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yeah. Okay, y'all. So if y'all have any extra questions or need answers, please let us know. We want to discuss them. We want to laugh about them. We want to look them up. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and check out our other videos. Thanks.